This is a tour of the visualizations currently available with the TomBio ID Framework. The two-column key visualization is a multi-access key that divides taxa into two columns. As character states are entered, rectangles representing the taxa change position in response to how well they match the character state input. The overall matching scores are shown here. As character states are entered, the taxa change columns depending on whether their overall matching score is above 0 or less than 0. Higher overall matching scores are shown towards the top in both columns, so the taxon or taxa with the best overall matching score is here, and those with the lowest here. If images are associated with the taxon, you can show one by clicking the rectangle like this. Clicking an image hides it. To show images for all taxa, right-click the mouse over the visualization to see this context menu, and then select Expand All Taxon Items. To hide all images, select Contract All Taxon Items from the context menu. Click on the name of any taxon to invoke the taxon information window where you can see knowledge base values, images, and further details. You can switch to other visualizations using this drop-down list. I'm going to select the single column key visualization. The single column key provides a different way of visualizing the matching scores. Here it displays the same overall scores as the two column key, but in addition it also displays the scores for the individual characters. This makes it a good tool to use if you want to see exactly where the taxon matches or differs from the character states you specify. It also allows you to discover how both the individual scores and the overall scores are derived. The top scoring taxon here is an overall score of 4, even though 5 characters have been specified. It scores well on all 5 characters, but never a perfect one for any of them. This is likely to be due to weighting, and we can discover this by clicking on any of the individual character scores. In the pop-up window we can see how this score was derived. There is a weighting of 7 out of 10 here, which means that 0.7 is actually the maximum that any taxon can score for this character. If you would like to display the individual character scores without weighting, right-click the mouse over the visualization to see the context menu and select Show Unweighted Scores. Note that the overall scores here do not change. These always show the sum of the weighted scores. Show weighted character scores again by clicking the Show Weighted Scores context menu item. We can explain the neutral score of 0 for this character on this taxon by examining the details. It shows that no value is recorded in the knowledge base for this character and taxon, so it neither scores for or against. Neutral overall scores like these, however, are normally explained by some characters scoring for and some characters scoring against, therefore cancelling each other out. We can see that very clearly here. The low overall scores reflect the fact that there is considerable evidence against these taxa. You can invoke the taxon details window in the normal way by clicking on the name of a taxon. In addition, this single column key visualization displays a camera icon here on any taxa that have images, and clicking it is a shortcut to opening the taxon details window with the images tab already selected. This makes the single column key a great point of access to photos. When invoked, you can scroll down the list of taxa and see which have photographs and which do not. Any that do not will not display the camera icon. The single column key responds to user input by ranking the rectangles representing the taxa in order of their overall matching scores, highest towards the top and lowest towards the bottom. As characters are added or removed, corresponding columns of character matching scores are added and removed. The circle pack key is another multi-access key visualization, but with a radically different way of visualizing the taxa. In this key, the taxa are represented by circles which change size and colour depending on how well they match user input. key feature is that it organises taxa hierarchically in nested circles that reflect their taxonomy. Knowledge base authors can define higher level taxonomy in the knowledge base, and the visualisation uses this to group taxa. So here we can see that several taxonomic levels have been defined, and by moving the mouse pointer over any of the circles I can see a tooltip indicating both the taxonomic rank and name. When I move my mouse pointer over a taxon, the tooltip displays the full name for the taxon plus the overall matching score. The taxon names are also displayed in the centre of the circles representing them, but they are abbreviated if there isn't enough room to display the whole name. As with other keys, I can invoke the taxon details window by clicking on a taxon name. I can zoom into the visualisation using the mouse wheel. Notice how the taxon name abbreviations change when there is more room to display them. I can pan around by dragging with my left mouse button. I can quickly zoom to the extent of any circle by clicking on it. Taxon circles are coloured to reflect their overall matching score. The best current match or matches are always outlined in a dashed line so that you can pick them out easily. Taxon circles are also sized relative to their overall matching score, so bigger, bluer circles represent taxa that are better matches than those represented by smaller vermilion ones. If I right-click my mouse over the visualisation, I get this context menu. Some of the items on there reflect the higher taxonomic ranks in the knowledge base. If I select one of these, the labelling on the visualisation changes to reflect the taxonomic rank I selected. Another of the context menu items allows me to toggle name abbreviations on and off. Finally, I can choose to ignore higher level taxonomy altogether, in which case the better matches are shown towards the centre of the visualisation, regardless of their higher level taxonomic relationships. But one great advantage of the Circle Pack key is in seeing how well taxa match certain character states within the context of their higher level taxonomy. So for example, if I select just this leg length character state, very long, I can see immediately that this character is shared by species across only 4 genera, and that there is only a single exception within those genera. This illustrates that these tools can be used to visualise and learn about the morphology of a group without necessarily aiming to identify a specimen in the hand. Another strength of the Circle Pack key is its ability to visualise large numbers of taxa more conveniently than the column-based keys. Here is the Circle Pack key working with a knowledge base of UK Linnaeophilidae money spiders, consisting of some 280 taxa. Notice how easy it is to maintain an overview of how all taxa respond to the input characters within the context of the genera. Okay, that's it for this tour of the Tom.bio framework visualizations. Don't forget to check out our other framework tutorials.